Let me come in like an intruder. I give you lesson of verbal combat with ill pen maneuvers. Subdue ya when the spoon hit the teacup. You wake up, welcome to my class. Just listen, don't speak. Visualize what you can't see. Call me the rap Bruce Lee. Wing chun techniques. Let the flow creep like you deep that haven't eaten for weeks. I've been fast no sleep, but y'all been sleeping on me like hoopers on New York Park benches. Homie, I never left the trenches. Plotting patiently and calm with my ears open listening to these culture vultures, praising worldly sculptures. Man, they wearing skinny jeans and Maybelline. Dipping so much lean, they dying to reach their dreams. Run around like, hey, Miss Thing. I'm like, hey, yo, son, pass the crown to the king. You dig? Get your hair right, y'all doing it wrong. Boys make that beat, now that's a dope song. Get your game tight, homie, not your games. This is grown man rap. Get your sweet 16. Get your hair right, y'all doing it wrong. Boys make that beat, now that's a dope.
Welcome everybody to My Brother's Keeper, episode 3, and the topic is a big one and very relevant, very on time, very much needed, coronavirus. Today we have, as you already know, but go ahead, Damon.
What up, what up, what up? Damon Paige
there, yep. Reggie Harris.
What up, baby? How y'all doing?
And my brother from the same mother, DesSwoir Cleaver.
Oh, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a blessed day.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And so, like they say on most of the YouTube channels, we're going to jump right into it. So we got the coronavirus, man, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. I'm sure most of y'all can agree. The first thing that I'm sure we want to touch on would be mask or no mask. Who wants to open up that argument there?
Man, mask, man. Come on, man.
Mask.
Yeah.
I'm with Damon on no. Mask. Gotta give it to me. Gotta give me the mask. Got to.
Man, I'm a hypochondriac anyway, man.
I know that. That's real talk.
I need that, bro. You know what I mean? And my kids is like, for real? I'm like, for real.
Yep. All right, Des, how you feel about the mask?
Yeah, it's about you gotta wear the mask. I think that's the number one blocker from getting the coronavirus. If you got a mask on, that's really gonna help you. It's really gonna help stopping you from getting this.
Now, who works outside of the home right now? Damon and Des.
I do.
Reggie, you too. Everybody's out. So, y'all wearing masks when you work?
Yes, it's mandatory. It's mandatory.
Okay, and which I work from home. So, but when I do go out, I have my mask up. I'm with you on the mask. But let's dive into the mask. You know, although I am pro mask, which to me it's almost unreal that it's even an issue, that it's a hard stance. Like we are once again divided in 2020 on a major issue in this country, and it's divided like mask. No, I did my own research with the mask. I'm cool with the mask because we understand the droplets. We understand the possibility of someone who is infected just breathing in your area or saliva landing on you and you contracting the virus, right? So I did a little bit of research regarding the mask, and these sources come from, there's a Dr.Barke from Orange County, Newport Beach, California. He's pretty, I don't want to say he's anti-mask, but he's very pro, like they're not telling us something type thing. Okay, some of the things that he made me think about was masks. I don't want to say conspiracy theorists. And the reason is because although that there's so much information, right? In the midst of all this information, there's still information we don't know. And we only see specific numbers, but some that's not even relevant. Like we see the numbers of total cases in the US, but we don't see the number of total number recovered or total deaths per cases. I mean, I see those now, but they don't show you that.
I have in the United States, I have recovered cases.
I mean, I got it too that I've done my research, but someone's looking at the news.
When you first get a pandemic like this, those are maybe the top 3 things that you look for in order to try to figure out how it's coming in, how to control it, where it's coming from. Cases, recovered, deaths. Those are easy nickels right from the beginning.
Basic.
How many people get it?
That's basic data that you want to get.
Recover from it. Yeah.
But when you look at, go ahead, Reggie.
Yeah, and I was gonna say from that, like, you know, I know for myself being in Italy, and y'all know that I was in Italy for a month.
Right out of the hot spot.
I was right out of it, and I walked right into when it hit here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in Italy, and that's why I tell people like the whole mask versus no mask thing. I'm looking at now how Italy have recovered. Italy is back. Their sports are back going on. Different things are still back going on, and they went strict. They were strict. The social distancing, the mask. Only thing I'm saying.
Say that one more time, Reggie. Say that one more time for us, please.
For the people in the back, right?
Yeah, all the more time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking at the results from Italy. Like, I'm looking at being there when I was first there for a whole month and how people pretty much didn't nobody do anything. Everybody stayed in the house.
They locked down quick.
There's a pandemic going on. Why wouldn't you?
Right. The only time they came out of their house was to go to the grocery store, and they had on their mask and they practiced social distancing and they were wearing gloves. Free, and nobody complained. Nobody, like, it was kind of like the country just decided, okay, we're gonna come together, we're gonna fight this out and do what has been asked of us to do until we find a better solution. And then when the numbers start gradually dropping, then things kind of got back.
They reopened a little bit at a time.
You know, Americans are
stubborn, stubborn, spoiled, above everything. You know, we were the last country it touched, I believe, and so we seen this from a mile away and did nothing about it.
Right.
I know, and I'm speaking for me personally. I still remember, like, it was like December 12th, 13th. I seen it on the news, and I'm like, it ain't gonna be here. We ain't gotta worry about that.
Over here.
Well, I was in Italy, and we were the same way in Italy. Like, all of us were. And then when it started getting real, and the hospitals became overcrowded, and then and I'm telling you guys, and this is why I tell people that my no mask people, I say, look, you see what's going on in Texas and in Florida right now. You see what's going on in the bigger place. You saw what was going on in New York. I said, when I was in Italy, I said, you know, there were reports, and it didn't happen in Florence where I was, but in the Lombardy region up there by Milan and stuff, their National Guard was taking bodies to mass graves. These people couldn't even say goodbye to their families and stuff like that because there was no place to keep these bodies because you couldn't go near the bodies because you might contract it and spread it.
You might
and
get
all
COVID,
the hospital
right.
people, I said, yes, if all of that was going on, and then you talk about all of the healthcare professionals that died in the midst of treating this. You know, you talk about healthcare professionals dying, contracting this stuff, and trying to help and save somebody else. I'm like, you don't want that in your neighborhood. You don't want that in your city. Like, yeah, when it hits you, it's going to be too late for thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, so, okay, now, touching back on the mask debate, okay, there's also, okay, even if you are pro-mask, there is the issue of cloth mask or you know, the different types of masks. Mm-hmm. So, man, here's something that I'm learning about the mask and the oxygenation in our blood. And there's like it took me back to being a CNA and taking vital signs and how important the pulse ox was. This Dr.Barke, he had 2 athletes come in to his facility, both wearing masks, and had them running on the treadmill without a mask initially. But then with the mask, he noticed running on the treadmill. Of course, I even see people running with the mask on, which I think that's counterproductive, but that's neither here nor there. But
how would that be counterproductive running
with the mask on?
How is that counterproductive?
Let me tell you, because it's proven to significantly lower the oxygen levels in the blood wearing the mask. You're not getting that fresh intake with your breath. Now imagine if you're breathing harder.
So how is that counterproductive? It's still getting exercise, so that's not counterproductive.
Yes, it is.
It's counterproductive to what?
For health, it is. Now, I do agree with Calvin on them, because when you talk about oxygen in the blood, like, oxygen in the blood is the thing that kicks off pretty much almost every metabolic action, you know, as far as the breaking down of sugars, all your metabolic actions as far as like, you know, breaking down of your protein, breaking down of like your health in your lungs. So like your lungs.
Oxygen is key. Oxygen is key, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, oxygen.
Yeah. And so now here's another thing that I ran across. Breathing on the mask, right? We know that eventually we can breathe into our hands and we're going to get some vapors, right? But bringing on the mask for about 5 to 8 minutes, it moistens the mask and then lowers the ability for that mask to filter the particles.
The cheaper the mask is, the cheaper the effect. You get what you pay for.
Oh, so okay. You know, that's one thing I didn't think about. So do you believe it's the type of mask, the
material and type? Those things matter. But to be truthful, you can get a shirt, wrap it around your face, and go and do what you need to do and come back home.
And that's
that doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Okay, and I understand for people who, all right, I'm quarantined, I'm just going out to get necessities and I'm coming home. But what about these essential workers? What about the essential workers?
Well,
who happen to wear it for long periods of time?
They have the best of the mask, so you wear the best.
What do you think, Damon?
I think they should. Well, I mean, obviously, the essential workers, we need to be. We need to have more, obviously, you know what I mean? And also have a better, I think people need to realize also, it's like schools are going to start back soon, right? It needs to be more controlled, man. People need to, mandatory masks is the best thing you can do, you know what I mean? In every situation, like in our workplace, if you're in your own office and your door is closed, nobody's in there, you don't have to have a mask on. Anyone comes in 6 feet or closer to you, you gotta be masked up. If you're in the hall walking, you masked up. You know what I mean? It needs to be more controlled. You know what I mean? And I think once that's established, people take it more serious. You know, so then you'll see the cases decrease.
I agree. We as Americans, we didn't. Even this goes all the way to the top of our government. El Comandante, our leader, should have enforced some strict laws initially, not allowing the states to decide for themselves. No, you the man. So you say, this is how we're going to do this. And that's what I think should have been done. Because we could have been quarantined, social distancing. And
anytime you have a war, you have a plan. What was the United States' plan in stopping this war against the coronavirus? There wasn't one. Our president went golfing and said, you guys handle it yourselves. Well, President, we need PPE for all these places. I'm going golfing. I'll be at Sierra Lago. You guys call me when this fades away and disappears.
Don't be extra because he didn't say all that.
No. Those are his words. What are you talking about?
No, those are not his words.
Yes, it is.
Cite me a source.
The virus is going. You guys were in a great place. The virus will disappear.
Okay, now, although we can all agree that he didn't take. Oh, go ahead, Reggie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm gonna speak on behalf of my people that hate the mask because they all think it's a conspiracy against the Republican Party and against, you know, their rights, quote unquote, and everybody magically they feel like that it's going to be a cure during November, during the election time.
That will.
But I always remind them. I said, you know, and this is why I have to remind those people. The United States is only 5% of the world's population. 5. Along with us being 5% of the world's population, probably 2 to 3, 2.5% or 3% are conservative or Republican, whatever you want to call that. You know, maybe less than that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just giving it an elevated number. So I'm like, do you think that 98% of the world would suffer and want to deal with this just to do something to Trump and to do something to the 2% of the Americans that you know, all of a sudden, we want to attack the American rights. So let the whole world suffer, you know, so that the American rights can be violated. And that's the worst part about it. Because that's the worst part about it is because they're sitting there talking about their constitutional right. And I'm like, here's the thing. You know, every other country has had to deal with the same stuff. You don't see them complaining about their constitutional rights.
You know, having to wear a mask. That's right.
They just doing it. They just trying to say,
okay.
yeah.
America.
And then when everybody said the numbers are compared to the flu, and I get that. I say, yeah, the numbers are less than the flu. People do die more of the flu than this. But the thing about this one is that you can have this and nobody know that you have it. And
yeah, you can be passing it.
You can be asymptomatic, walking around, getting people sick, and not even know.
Not even know it. And I said, and then the other part, if your immune system is strong enough, you won't even have not one symptom, and could have been engaged and could have gave it to somebody, and it could have been detrimental to them.
Could have been deadly fatal to them. Yes.
Right. And I'm like, that's like the flu, because if you get the flu, everybody knows you got the flu.
Yeah, I didn't agree with the whole.
And even if I do get it from you, I'm not gonna die from it.
Exactly. I didn't like the whole, compare it to the flu, man. This is
not even compare it to the flu.
And now I'm going to speak on those who are anti-mask. Yeah, to me, it's a slap in the face for, God bless all of those who have lost their lives or who have lost family members, to act as if this virus is not real. It's real.
Exactly.
Now, but still, whether it was man-made or it originated in a fish market in China, to me, that's beside the point.
Yeah, that's irrelevant. There you go.
Because it's here now. Now we just gotta know how to take care of it, and based on when we look at what the rest of the world is doing, what certain states are doing to prevent it, when we know the mask is our best chance to not contract or spread the virus.
Nobody's doing nothing. That's the point. All states are on the rise. Every state. There may be 3 states in the United States that isn't increasing. I mean, on the rise or have stalled where we are, but aren't decreasing. Everybody is increasing. Everybody. Nobody's doing nothing. And there's no school. Businesses that aren't essential shouldn't be open. We came back too soon. We came back too soon. We seen a drop in cases, got happy, come back. It's summertime. Summertime. Ooh, summertime. No.
Go ahead, Damon.
I think people are suffering finance. I think finances, is why everybody came back so soon.
Right.
You know, like everybody was going through, you know what I mean? Because people weren't surviving out there, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was too killer, you know what I'm saying? It was, our economy, you know what I'm saying, after the coronavirus. And racist cops, but that's another story. You know what I mean?
Hey, look, never forget.
Never forget.
Hey.
Look, I know that.
But we gotta attack one thing at a time.
Hey, and if we're looking at the numbers, man, coronavirus has probably killed more blacks than the racist cops in the last 3 months.
Anyway, cops kill more white people than black people anyway.
Let's not forget that.
All right, can we stay on topic? Because we'll be here all day. I love it, and I will engage, but we'll be here all day.
For the resources, though, man, I feel like, because a lot of black people, unfortunately, to say this, don't have careers where they, give them benefits, healthcare, things of that nature. So a lot of the black people who pass away from it is because they don't have the insurance to go to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? Or not even that. Go ahead, Reg. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to give y'all some statistics on this. I was got this from a respiratory therapist, and she was in New York, and now she's in Northwest Arkansas, in which she now working with the populations inside those food processing plants like Tyson and all of those here in Northwest Arkansas, where there are a large minority of I forgot the name of the people, but they from
Marshallese.
The Marshallese people and the Latino people that are working in those plants. They have very, 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 very high cases, and they're like overcrowded in the hospitals here. And so, so that's the thing. And working in those and people say, you know, like Americans, worried about their meat, and that's why I'm a plant-based eater. So I really get tired of the whole meat debate. Oh, ain't no meat when I go to the grocery store. I'm like, yo, look at your teeth. You ain't designed to eat meat every meal. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my friend.
He went on a little mini rant, but I feel you, brother.
All right.
You
know, I ain't got nothing against meat, but I have the problem with the overconsumption of meat. You know what I'm saying? It's just
you
like,
go ahead. Hey,
you know,
ain't nothing wrong with a shameless plug, man. This is a nice platform for a shameless plug. If you want to know about that, I'm looking right to the. If you want to know more about that no meat diet, follow Reggie on his Instagram. He'll show you a lot of tips. That's a shameless plug right there, right?
Yo, baby. So, Reggie M. Harris 7. Reggie M. Harris 7.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
And Harris multifaceted on Facebook.
That's
and
Reggie
what I'm talking
Harris
about. On every other media. but like I was saying though, you know, like those people that they put their life in danger to work at these plants. And anybody that worked at a meat plant, when I grew up in Mississippi, I worked at a catfish plant. And working at a meat plant, bruh, is like your meat, how good it looked there, and understanding how like brutal like meat processing is and how nasty it is to work there. You know what I'm saying? Like you
been there, done that.
Right? So you know what I'm saying? You can understand why that virus get passed along so quick in some places. Easy, bruh.
But I do got to speak on, because I'm here and I live in the Berryville area where there is a Tyson's plant. And the craziest thing about, like, we were good for a while, especially rural America has been like, oh, because we have been untouched by this virus heavily. It seems unreal. But you know, we can see on the news and see that people are dying, but still refuse to accept that. I think that's why most people are anti-mask. Oh, it ain't real, blase. But
it hasn't hit home yet. It hasn't touched them yet.
Exactly. But it's crazy because whenever cases started spiking, the main reason that even the governor was reporting that, because many of the Latino community did not really understand what was going on. There was there wasn't bilingual signs and warnings and things. That's what they say. But for me, it was hard for me to believe that, really. But they say that was the reason.
It was.
Same thing with mental health. And going back to mental health, the barriers in ethnicity, language, religion, those barriers matter. Same thing with health.
Yeah,
those barriers matter.
And going back to what you're talking about with the Marshallese people, and because think about Texas, even with the increase, and you know, Texas is a conservative state. Yeah. They were right along with President Trump and, you know, most of the conservative belief of, freedom of choice with the mask. You know what I'm saying? Now their governor has had to be like, okay, I can't let this freedom of choice with the mask be a thing now. I gotta, because our hospitals are becoming overcrowded.
Yep.
And so when you talk about the stress that you put your healthcare workers in, and now they've had to involve FEMA. Now think about it, a conservative state involving FEMA to come in and help them recruit nurses and healthcare workers to go work there.
It's like it put them in the exact position they did not want to be in.
Not want to be in. Exactly. And that's why I think the example of Texas, I'm using Texas as an example for my people that are out there that's saying, hey, this is not real. And I'm like, here's the thing. Go talk to a respiratory therapist. Go talk to somebody, a healthcare professional that have been in New York, that's traveling in Northwest Arkansas, that's traveling because they post about their life. You can go, like, some of these people wouldn't mind you inboxing them, or if you know somebody that know them, just ask them a question. Yep. And everybody said, well, my rights and my rights and my rights. And they talk about, well, it's a slippery slope. Here's the thing. A slippery slope would be, it's just like my whole thing, like when people talk about the whole gun stuff. And I'm going on another issue with that, but I'm gonna relate it to it.
Pro-gun.
Because somebody,
let's go. Yeah, we'll go on with
pro-gun that too. I'm very pro-gun. Second Amendment all the way.
Okay.
But when I say that a person should take a test to be able to own a gun that a military person uses, like, people look at me like, oh, you should. And I'm like, why not?
Why not?
These people, These people get trained. My brother, I have military family. They go through training and certification to use these weapons that you just want to play with. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
right.
They go through training and certification. It's not like, you know, it's just some things I feel like, you know, just because I say gun laws doesn't mean I'm taking away your gun. Just because somebody says wear a mask in public doesn't mean nobody telling you taking away your rights to be an American.
Right. My problem, I think, the most is a lack of common sense in the whole situation. That's my biggest issue. Like, Nick, if everybody in the world's sick and they tell you to put a mask on, man, put a mask on.
Put a mask on.
Right.
Like, come on, and man. Then, like, it's not that hard.
And then what kills me is some of the ones that want to be a total butthole and just say, well, if I get it, it's my time to go. Or why not the old folks stay at home? Or if you sick, you stay inside. And it's like, what you saying, so what you're basically saying is that you are better than other people. That your rights are more important than rights.
Your life, life, basically.
Somebody else that's sick.
Man, y'all know that's typical United States of America, bro.
Yeah. Do you think that the people that are sick, that got heart conditions, that have had cancer and different stuff like that, do you not think these people that have asthma, that was born with allergies, that were born with, if they could snap or say, God, heal me, and they could get healed, they would do it.
Right.
That's why I be trying to get them to think about. I'm like, for you to say that you dehumanize another person, or you elevate yourself as a human to be more than that person. Well, no, I'm not like that. For you to accuse me to be like that, you're wrong. And I'm like, no.
By your words, you are justified, and by your words, you are condemned.
Right.
I mean,
yes.
To me, go ahead, Damon. No, I'm gonna hit on a key point. Go ahead, hit that, brother.
Man, I love the fact that I live in the United States of America. Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? I'm just saying we have an arrogance about ourselves.
Yes.
You know,
amen.
And that arrogance keeps us from saying, we are living in the land of the free and home of the brave. You know what I'm saying? So that's why sometimes people don't want to wear a mask. I don't wear my mask. I ain't trying to get sick, but I ain't trying to bag on where we live at. I'm just saying.
I understand what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
But that is where we have come to in America is using our rights and our freedoms as a justification for being stupid. But I'm gonna leave it because and I'm gonna direct this comment, huh?
And here's the other part about this, Calvin. Have you noticed that the people that, like what we were just saying, now they've turned themselves into victims?
Man.
Like they act like we're bullying them because we tell them.
Well, I saw a video and it went pretty viral of there was a man not wearing a mask in Walmart and two women. A woman got her on videotaping. One woman behind him got her camera videotaping him. Don't even have a mask on herself, but they're like, "Where's your mask? Do you want people?" And they were bullying this man. And at this point, there's no law that says you have to wear it, which is this is what allows people to do it because we can't even be united. And honestly, if I look at it objectively, the president that I support is at fault for people, because especially people who follow him. If he says put a mask on, we're gonna put a mask on, but he ain't wearing a mask, he ain't advocating for a mask. So then you have the division.
And then here's the thing, Calvin, that he messed himself up, and he messed up like when he attacked. That's why I was using the Texas thing as an example. Texas is a strong,
very,
and the governor is a Trump. He's a Trump man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like and
I love Texas.
Trump attacked every Democratic governor that had mask ordinances. He attacked them on his Twitter. And now you got one of your states, one of your governors,
Florida.
Yeah, including Florida, two of your states that did what you said, and they're paying the price. And now they also having to go and reach out to the government, to the FEMA programs that you didn't necessarily like to fund, and you took money away.
In the same sense, so I understand what you're saying there, but this is why I think it's a double-edged sword, because 42% of all the deaths of our COVID-19 deaths are in 3 states: New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts. Now, that's a terrible statistic to look at. Almost 50% of all of our COVID-19 deaths come from 3 states: Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York. And I think that's horrendous. But I need to before I got to get this out.
That's just the death, though. That's not the cases.
They also have the highest number of cases as well.
And I think, but you know why? Because at the beginning, remember, that was like the hot spot. Just like when I was in Italy, the northern part, Milan, the Lombardy region was a hot spot. Even though the whole country was affected, you have the hot spots. And you talk about that region, that's the reason why. But you think about Governor Cuomo received a lot of slack from Trump because of the mask.
Because seemingly it wasn't even helping. Seemingly, because.
But now it's helping, though. You know what I'm saying? Now it's helping. Now people seeing that it did help. And that's the thing about this whole COVID thing. Because a lot of time with COVID, it's just like this. And I figured, like through talking to healthcare professionals and looking at it for myself. So say, for instance, I contract. I can walk around basically 14 days without a symptom. On the day 14, my symptoms show up maybe in a snotty nose or coughing. Then day 17, I have a fever. So think about, okay, now I'm like 17 days. I've been around all these people and doing all this stuff for 17 days. Now, then I finally decided to go to the hospital on day 18. Day 20, they decided to say, hey, we got to put him on a ventilator. He almost dead. So think about the 20 days that led into and all the contact of the people that I've had. Now repeat that cycle with all those people. Yes. And then some of those people, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes it may be a month or 2 before you even start seeing results of the precautions that you put in place, because it had already been spreaded before it actually, was shown.
In defense of those states, those advocates who were anti-mask, that's what I'm saying. The states who were severely pro-mask had the highest number of deaths. And in these cases that we're seeing now, we're saying, see, that's the thing where I think the numbers are skewed, which we can switch on to our numbers now. We'll start touching on testing, inaccurate testing or accurate testing, because the thing that really has those people who we would want to call conspiracy theorists, because it's only a conspiracy theory until it's proven to be true. But anyway, those who we would say are conspiracy theorists,
it's proven true.
You can understand where they're coming from when you see a video of Dr. Fauci, and in March he's saying we don't need the masks, aren't that crucial. We don't really need to have a mask mandate right now. And then you see him.
At that point, we didn't. At that point, we didn't.
Hold on. Let me finish, and then you see him, and he's questioned about why he said that, and he says, "Well, the reason I said that," he said it. He's saying the reason he said it was so that we can make sure that we secured enough PPE for our healthcare providers. So in March, he believed that we all needed masks, but he didn't say we did, so he could secure PPE. Okay, there's one example, and then you have the example of the inaccurate testing. I blatantly watched a video from the governor of Illinois and his medical advisor stating and defining COVID deaths as any death where someone tested positive for coronavirus, even though the cause of death was different. If someone died of an obvious heart attack and you see it's a heart attack, well, does he have COVID? Okay, well, mark that as cause of death. So when you have these things going on, you can understand why people are cautious or like, wait, like, I don't understand. Why are we doing this? Why are we driving these numbers up? What is the purpose of labeling a death by a car accident as a COVID-19 death? So in defense of those who are anti-mask, who feel like this is a plot or a ploy to infringe upon their rights, you can understand that. But for those who are anti-mask, especially those who are of the same faith as me, as a Christian, I understand if you feel like, I understand, I have full faith that nobody in my household, nobody in my family is going to be affected by this. I have full faith by that. But for you to not wear a mask, you're obviously don't plan on loving on nobody. Because if you go out in this world You want to talk to somebody and you ain't got no mask on, they're not engaging with you. You cannot pray for people. You cannot make sure your fellow man is all right. Just put a mask. Does it really inconvenience you that much to not wear a mask? And that's all I'm saying, because it's a pretty sensitive topic for me. What's that?
I said healthcare professionals wear them all
day, saving lives, helping save lives all day long. A sensitive topic for me. If y'all can't tell, I'm pretty fired up, but I'm gonna stop on there because this is the thing. As I did my research, as I learned, as I'm looking at statistics, I was like, oh man, this mask is stupid, blase, blase. But I mean, come on, man, you can't, like Damon said, man, we gotta practice common sense.
Common sense. Hey, so lack thereof in this world, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, okay, and I wanted to talk about those numbers. And one of the things when I interview healthcare professionals is, and I have a background in science too. So the thing about the human body is the oddest control variable ever. If you get what I'm saying, in science, when you're doing a scientific experiment, you have a control variable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the control variable. The human body is the worst one of all because they're all different. They're all affected by different things. So when you look at it, it's hard to actually get good data from using human beings as a control. That's the reason why, like, a lot of your experiments in anything come through lab rats or other kind of animals.
Guinea pigs.
Yes, but, because you can actually control every little single thing about that organism. With a human, you can't control everything about that organism. Right. So it's one of those type of things in which, the reason why the data is screwed, and I'm from a healthcare professional, like even like talking to the nurses and respiratory therapists, they even brought up the doctors are asking them questions. The doctors are still experimenting on stuff. That's the reason why they cannot necessarily find anything that necessarily like work for everyone, because what works for one person doesn't work. They'll try the same thing on another, and then that other person dies.
Right. And
then, so now you have this whole cycle of what's going on. It's like, well, I can't necessarily release this data and say this works when it worked for people, and then I had 5 people die from it. You know what I'm saying? So now let me try something else. And so the doctors are really trying to figure out, and even with the testing, and, hearing this from healthcare professionals, the testing is very inconsistent on how people do it. There's not a specific way that everybody is following. So that's the reason why you get all the various numbers. And this is what I tell people. I say, it's just like with any kind of scientific experiment. If the control variable has different mechanisms of how it is, how it responds to things, it's going to be hard to find a consistent answer. And I say, so I get why, and I tell you, I get, because of my science background, I get why the numbers are screwed. I get why there's different data and stuff that is out there. And the reason why a lot of the doctors are panicking and just saying, okay, we're going to say this was a COVID thing, is because what they're trying to figure out is that because COVID has been proven to onset other conditions like, heart disease or like with the lungs
pneumonia.
And stuff. With it sets that stuff in action.
Into motion.
Start. Like the pneumonia, the cardiac arrest, those are a direct result of the virus attacking your system, is what you're saying. Yeah, and that's what the professionals are looking at when they see that. Now, to separate the ones that it didn't onset versus the ones, because this is what happens too. Sometimes the person didn't have COVID in the hospital and they was having heart trouble, and they might have died of a heart attack, but they might have contracted COVID while they was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. But then sometimes the doctors don't know that either. So that's the reason why they're not even allowing people in the hospital unless they come in like fully masked up. And once your person get COVID, you can't see them. That's why they're doing that, because even as a healthcare professional, that's why they walking around in hazmat suits and them special design masks, and they taking, like, before they even leave now, them dudes
the people there, they built locker rooms in hospitals now. Like it's like them going to play a game like football. They go there, they come
get
in,
their gear on,
and they clothes, they get their gear on, then they shower after they leave and put their regular clothes back on and walk out.
Yeah. So it's one thing that amazes me with this whole thing. I haven't thought about this until today. We have and let's touch on the number one leading the nation that's leading the deaths and cases and deaths and also recovered in the world is the United States.
Yes, it's up.
Now, of course, we know because we haven't had strict laws across the board and everyone's kind of doing as they please. But to me, we're blessed to have so many just geniuses in the medical field, science field. Yeah. We have very innovative that have had just tremendous breakthroughs with other diseases such as cancer and AIDS. Why is it, this is my question, why is it that we have, of course, he can be regarded as the leading expert when it comes to viruses, but why is it that in all that we have access to, we are hearing and being guided by one medical expert? I don't understand. Ooh. This is what Dr. Fauci.
He's not leading us. The White House has put him on a stipend where he can't go on no interview.
Why is everybody, when you ask about what are the recommendations, what's this and this, well, what did Dr. Fauci say?
They always quote the World Health Organization or the CDC. They don't quote Fauci. They quote the CDC. They don't quote Fauci.
Look, listen to me.
I feel like it's because they put him out there. You know what I mean? I feel like they put him out there, put the platform to speak on it. To be the
spokesperson.
Yeah, put him out there, and they also put him back in. You know what I mean? So that's the last thing people actually really know of when it comes to the facts of it. With somebody speaking on it, that's my opinion, though.
But that's what I'm saying.
Whether people like to admit it or not, the man has a resume. The man,
yeah, he's been the head of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for long. He worked closely with this.
Let's start with that first. His resume speaks for itself.
He worked with all the viruses, HIV, cancer, some plagues he's worked with. So yeah, this dude, he's not just a name with no experience or clout or merit behind him.
Well, no. That's what I'm saying. I stated that, which it's on the record. No one can deny that. Why is he the only voice? Why aren't we getting someone who maybe thinks on the other side? Why aren't we hearing about any collaborations or seeing any other?
What I'm asking you. This is what I'm gonna ask. You're asking why we're getting it from him. That's like going and getting basketball from overseas, but not getting anything from the NBA. You're going to the top notch in that field. Why would you go to somebody who's under him to get anything from? Why wouldn't you go to the head? So the head is Dr. Fauci. There's not very many people over him with knowledge and experience. So of course you go to him. He's a known advisor of all of the presidents of the last four. How many last presidents has he been advisory
of? Has he been the medical, like the main sign or medical advisor under president?
From him. They've all gathered advice from him, from Clinton to Obama to Bush, both daddy and son. So no, this guy is merited. Plus, when I want the knowledge, I want to go to the place where I can get the best knowledge, not just any old knowledge from any old person.
Now, you can't claim another opinion or another voice as any old person. He's not the only one that has expertise in this field.
I don't mind hearing from somebody else, but as far as where I'm getting the facts from that I believe are the truest, because that's what it boils down to. Whether you believe the facts you're hearing from, no matter whose mouth is coming
that's from. The exact question I'm asking. Whenever it comes, because we know how we are when we do our research, when we are discussing topics, we have views from every different angle, from 4 different angles a lot of times. So this is what I'm getting. Where are the other options in front of us? Like, okay, this is what he says. Let's compare. Let's meet in the middle. Who's stepping up to work with Fauci on this?
And I think people are scared to speak because they don't want to be wrong. You know what I mean?
And
oh,
that's good.
probably they don't want to come out with it because they don't want that publicity on them or the media on them. You know what I mean? Because you know how the media is in the first place. So if you say if you say you're onto something or come out with something, if you may, you know, whatever have you, people gonna be looking at you and turning your hands up, probably.
And it brings up that interesting point I brought up earlier, Damon. So like if I gave, and see, I'm been to the natural stuff, and I've been doing a lot of research and that type of stuff, and there are doctors out there, and I'm gonna give y'all some stuff that I've heard from medical professions, and it makes sense because I'm a biology nerd. I used to teach biology and AP biology, and it has to do with attacking it from the cellular perspective. If you attack it from the perspective, that's how you get it, because because what happened is what causes COVID is the cytokinesis of the white blood cells in the lungs and different stuff like that, creating that fluid, which causes what happens in the lungs with that. So, all right, so long story short, so they was talking about some studies that if within the mitochondria and the ATP and stuff like that, that like stuff like melatonin, zinc, vitamin C, and all of that type of stuff help interact with the mitochondria, and helps the melatonin actually turns off the receptor that starts cytokinesis, which make those cells produce extra, which create all that fluid and stuff. And so there have been studies done in that too. And so like, they found results in that, but I think the thing about it is they have to keep testing. And what I mean by testing is they're going to have to find the right mixture of stuff, of whatever they're doing, to say, okay, this is what's worked. Because if they do it for, say for instance, they do it for 6 people and 4 of them live, but 2 of them die, the 2 that die are going to get critiqued more than the 4 that live. And that's just real talk.
So that's a good point, and how that speaks back to how it reacts different with different people, which makes it such a conundrum when it comes to finding a cure. One of the things that also I think about as we speak is, okay, when we first underwent into quarantine and the coronavirus really hit the States, like you saw Bill Gates all over the place, and which he's not a medical professional. We know this, although he has done work with viruses in third world countries. Like he was almost the face of this, but now he's kind of like disappeared. Any thoughts on that? I've not heard from him. Yeah,
I think what he's just, to me, until I see.
I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, until I get the concrete proof, I think he's just a rich, bored dude.
Well, Des, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Des?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Did you not? I said that Bill Gates was at the face of this at the beginning, and now seemingly he's kind of gone into, obscurity, or like Mike Tyson would say, Bolivia instead of oblivion.
Yeah. They might type out in the Bolivian.
Bolivian instead of oblivion.
I think that goes back to
Bolivian.
I never thought Gates was a big part of this. I didn't hear about him, but a little bit, a twinkling of an eye.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's a rich, bored dude that's looking for some way to do something with his money. Now, I can understand what everybody's saying about the conspiracies and stuff like that, and if you could piece some videos of him talking and different stuff like that and piece some stuff together, you can create some theories, and I respect that. My whole thing, whenever somebody presents that to me and I talk to people about that, I said, I need concrete evidence, because we're talking about a person here. We're not talking about, I always tell people that, I say, man, one thing about when you put out information on people,
you got to be sure. You best be sure.
You got to be sure, bro.
That's true. That's the true heart of journalism or investigative reporting.
Right.
You got to have facts and back it up.
Yeah. And because, piecing a bunch of video clips together, piecing things together that they say at different times.
Yeah.
That's easy. You can take a lot of stuff that each one of us said all during the whole thing and create a hate propaganda and say, oh, these dudes hate you can say something. I give you an example. Just because of your critique, Calvin, on Black Lives Matter, people can put up a thing and say, "Oh, you hate Black Lives Matter." You don't. They can just piece together different parts of your.
No, I don't. I don't hate black. No, you're right. I don't hate Black Lives Matter. I just, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I don't ride with them, but you're right. I do not hate them. You're right.
But people could say you're anti based on a couple of clips that they can piece together, and without even knowing you.
I do have to interject quick because you said he's just a rich bored white dude, but this rich bored white dude, you didn't say we man, you said white dude. Forgive me, just a rich bored man. This rich man who got so much money needs something to do is saying on national TV in front of everybody, we'll have this cure within the next 12, 24 months. He's so confident and he's got this cure. Like, how do you know so much about this virus without testing, without the data, without what's going on? Huh?
Oh, Bill Gates said that.
What'd you say, Paige?
Because he has $1 billion.
So do you mean he's got, so are you saying he's got some type of inside?
Absolutely.
So are you saying that he?
Yeah, if I'm, it's like this, and know this from the business world. Okay, so I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. Whenever you fundraising or anything like that, or you supplying stuff, whenever you make an advance on something, you get something accomplished, you let the people know that's supplying you the money to do it first.
Of course, I completely. Hey, we got this coming. Are you going to be able to back this with money? We need a pump. We need to pump some money into. I completely.
The man's net worth is $1.12 billion.
That's it.
Wow.
No, I'm playing. That's a lot of money, boy. That's a lot of grip.
So he's the founder of Microsoft. You know what I mean? So his technology is very innovative. Whatever he got insight, man.
And look, and that's the thing.
He getting paid for.
I don't advocate conspiracy theories because you can speculate anything, anything. But okay. So all right, we're talking about testing. I think we need to go to schools reopening, social distancing. My dog's running in here. Y'all gone. All right, so when it comes to, we know, what we do know about the virus is that the young and the healthy are not at a high risk of fatality. We know that. We know that doesn't mean they cannot contract the virus, be asymptomatic, and then pass it on. That is still a key issue. People want to talk about reopening. This is an issue that gets me as well, and this is another thing why you can understand where people come from when they're anti-mask. This is just the beginning of infringement upon my rights. And we can blame mass media, but we have to look at the money behind the mass media, okay? So whenever mass media is saying these reopenings are causing a spike in cases, excuse me, because when these reopenings were happening, restaurants especially and others, they were practicing some sort of social distancing. Okay. What?
And they are, yep.
They were. So, but why is nobody accrediting these mass protests in almost every state as a possible reason for these spiking cases? Because the most new cases are under the age of 30 years old.
Well, you got people out here.
The most new cases?
Out here. Get the kids out here having COVID parties, man. It goes back to common sense.
To see which one of them was going to get it first, and that's who's going to win the award. Yes, it was more than just protests. There were rallies going on.
See, that's what I'm saying. We had mass protests by the thousands. We're talking about isolated, idiotic COVID parties, but we're not talking about mass protests by the thousands in almost every state. And we saw with the majority of them were not wearing masks. They were not practicing social distancing, but none of that is accredited to the spike in cases. Not only that, the people that we look to, that are looking to say something about this, I mean, they said no one said nothing. A lot of states said you can't do this. You can't go to your own family's funeral. You can't open your restaurant. But if you want to protest, that's okay. I mean,
you ain't stopping no protest, bro.
But they didn't stop anything. The world didn't stop. USA didn't stop. We continue doing everything.
That's not true. Tell that to business owners. Tell that to business owners who are still closed today.
Right. I will say this. And a lot of the protests, you did see a lot of people with the mask. Now, the ones you didn't see with the mask, the ones you didn't see with the mask were the younger cats. And I agree, because it was the same ones that we saw at the beach when everything was going, when it was going down.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
It's the same one. It's exactly.
And those people, they had it then. It's called a new case because finally they got a test. And they got tested for it.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying.
It wasn't new. They had it already.
No.
It wasn't new.
No.
That's the thing when you say new case.
Why are we? See, that's the thing. Why we got to be objective here. We can go back to Reggie's information that he got from health care workers that there is like a 14-day incubation period, man. And so a lot of this stuff is happening, and you won't even know until you'll see the results a couple weeks later, 2-3 weeks later. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And to me, it's beside the point. But I just wanted to say that as a. Go ahead, Reggie.
I acknowledge what you said about the protest. It could be that too, and I say that. But one of the things I will say about most protests, and the ones I've seen and stuff like that, the people that did not wear the mask were the same people that we saw at the beach and not wearing masks anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's just plain simple. Now, here's the other part to that. Now, people that were there, they did wear their masks. Now, like I said, social distance probably wasn't practiced during that time. And that brings up the whole mask debate there, because that's why I think social distancing is recommended with the mask. If you're not going to be able to social distance, you need to put on the mask. That's either one or the other. If I have to come in close contact with you, put on the mask. If I'm away from you 6 feet away, I don't have to, I can take my mask off.
Can somebody tell me the social distancing protocols? What do they ask that we do as far when it comes to social distancing? What are the keys there that we need to practice?
6 feet away.
Apart.
Everybody knows 6 feet, right? 6 feet, right? Okay, now riddle me this, because this is just me doing my research. Mm-hmm. And the majority of my life, I have heard this, but the average radius of a sneeze is about 220 feet. Mm-hmm. And an MIT study showed that the average radius of a cough is 6 meters, or about 9 feet. So where does 6 feet come from? Is 6 feet really going to protect us?
No, that's as far as touching goes, not aerosols flying. If you have a mask on, it's not going to get 200.
Most people can't touch 6 feet apart, DesSwoir. This is about droplets, air droplets. 6 feet was supposed to be because of, if you're at least at a 6 feet radius, you're not going to get droplets from anybody else who may be infected. But the average sneeze is about 220 feet. The average sneeze, the radius of a sneeze is about 220 feet, and the average radius of a cough is about 9 feet.
But two things when we talk about with the common sense thing. Right now, we're asking people to not cough like that or to sneeze out. You're asked to use your elbow. You're asked to use your shirt or whatever you have to do that. And so that, I think that when you talk about the whole protocols that goes along with that, we're changing the way that we're sneezing. We're changing the way that we're coughing. And so
changing the way we wash our hands.
Yes.
Hey, shoot,
yeah, we're
you like
changing
me.
all of that. So,
you know, I'm out.
Yeah, you feel me? And so I think what goes along, but, to go along and coincide with what you said there, it does travel, but the proximity is the number. You know what I'm saying? So as it goes out further, the number decreases.
But you made a great point. It's a common sense thing too, because especially right now, I don't see nobody just achoo. They're covering up, which would change that radius. Would change the distance of that radius. I stand correct. That's flawed logic. All right, I stand corrected. This is my brother's keeper. Everybody gonna have their day. All right. So, look, I don't know much in it. Do y'all what do y'all have as far as stimulus? Any information on a round 2 stimulus package?
I still hadn't got my first one, so but you know
that was my first
tell
thing.
you about
Most
this.
people haven't.
Mine was a child support. I was like, okay. So that was, and you want to talk about conversation? Ask that one. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, brother.
Hey, now we probably need to do an episode on how unfair child support is towards man.
Oh, we can definitely. We'll put that on the agenda, man.
I got brothers that have experienced that, and woo, to hear some of the stories.
Well, my point is, you know what? I don't mind. Whatever. Child support is one thing, but if you're gonna send a stimulus check to help us, you know what I'm saying, our time of need, you know, during COVID, might go to a child support.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So this is what they did. So they made me a check and sent it, and they kept it.
Yeah.
That's wild, brother.
That's gangster thing.
But I wonder, is it the same? Is it going the same thing for like those who have back? Oh, you got back taxes. We just gonna keep your stimulus.
That's gangster. But
yeah,
man, I don't know. Like the stimulus checks, man. You know, I'm a firm believer. Hey, there's people out there who need it. Give it to them, man. That's just what it is.
Yeah, I am. And my whole thing is this whole, and I'm gonna call it BS for what it is, because I've know some bankers and stuff that had to process these whole business loan things.
Man.
And the only people that got them loans were the big companies. The big, you know,
man, that's a whole nother.
And I'm like, it's just like Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban called him. Oh, this is why I'm gonna ride or die with Mark Cuban to the end of the road. Because he said, Mark Cuban said, if you can't borrow money to save your own company and you're a billionaire, something's wrong with your morals. You know, I'm summarizing what he said, but you know what I'm saying? He didn't say that exactly.
You say like, why do you need a bailout? You're saying, why do you need a bailout? Why do you need this government fund when you have $1 billion company? It
right.
doesn't greed because you're greedy.
Yeah, then you try to use this excuse. Well, we're trying to save our people that work for us. No. If here's the thing. If somebody working for me, even if I make $5 million a year, okay, you know what I'm saying? If I make $5 million a year, and every millionaire, and y'all know this too, every millionaire, people that don't know, every millionaire is a board member or a somehow partnership. They got other things. They got their money. In so many different ways. They got, you know, they making money. They constantly making money. So whenever you see that CEO making $5 million from that one company, he already got his investment in like 10 other companies.
That's
in 10 other ways.
That's right.
So, you know what I'm saying? That's just one part of it. So that's just FYI. So if I'm making all this money, if I'm a millionaire, and here's the thing, why would I need it? And then, and that's why I get on some of my conservative friends. I'm like, y'all make excuses for corporate welfare, for billionaire welfare, but you get mad at the person doing food stamps fraud.
Thank you.
I'm like,
thank you.
I'm like, I said, yeah, do I agree with food stamp fraud? No. But I'm not going to agree with corporate welfare.
Thank you. People got to be people got to stop being so I'm left, right. Like, come on, man. Use some wisdom. Most of these situations, most of the things that divide us in the country, if people would just say, you know what? Let me understand the other side and let's meet in the middle.
Bruh.
Right.
That's my whole issue with, I don't know, 99.9% shit going on in America anyway.
Right.
One-sided.
One side.
All one side.
I think me and Dez had a conversation the other day. He was saying something to the effect like, left or right, like these are the options that they give you. You go left or you go right, but that's what they push. They push. These are the options. These are options, but it's not the option. That's not true.
It's not, and it is like, and I tell my Republican friend, I said, bro, you can still be a conservative and a Republican and call out corporate welfare. You don't have to justify a rich person taking taxes, but then they try to make this, well, rich people paying taxes too. I'm like, here's the thing. They don't pay their taxes like I said, they can get write-offs. Most rich people are not paying the taxes. I said, but here's the other thing. The ones that do pay your tax, like Warren Buffett said, and Steph Curry even said the same thing. Steph Curry, like we was talking about his contract and how much tax he paid. He said, man, if I'm getting paid $35 million, $10 million in taxes ain't nothing.
What is that? That's nothing. Or even when you look at
35
you shared some information that shed the light on some churches who were taking money at this time.
And
like,
the
that is a great thing, because I'm sure that they called up every single member of their congregation and gave them a little bit of that, right?
No, they didn't.
No,
just like that.
I'm just saying.
Just like the big church in Texas, that brought in Mike Pence, and they got. I think they got like 10 million from that, from the whole. I'm like, as a church, what do you need with that much money, and you ain't even paying taxes? You're not
buy airplanes at the other church.
And then here's other, and this is where I get them at, and this is where I get my church conservative friends at. I said, here's the thing: the churches that really needed it, the ones that are in the hood, the ones that you said are your brothers and sisters in Christ, they didn't get it.
Nothing.
The ones that in the city of Chicago that
can give it to their that will give to their communities.
That need it. They not getting it because you filled out your application and you beat them to it.
And we gotta know it's not one-sided, because I did see a report that there was some members of, I think it was Ilhan Omar, members of her family and some of her connections, they did show that a lot of them did receive a lot of this funding, which should not have been connected to those. Should have not been corrected, because there's just corruption everywhere, and we got to call it out wherever we see it, man.
Yeah, wherever we see it, whether it's Democrat or Republican. And it's like I told, I have this discussion with a lot of my friends. I said, here's the thing, man. I said, black people, let's just be honest. I said, black people, we call ourselves out on BS. That's why we don't have no problem calling white people out on BS. That's why we talk about white privilege. Like I said, we talked about Bill Cosby. We talked about R. Kelly.
Michael Jackson.
I'll be damned if we ain't gonna talk about you. We ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Hey.
We ain't gonna talk about you.
Hey, I'm ready to talk about Nick Cannon whenever y'all are. I'm ready to talk about Nick Cannon whenever y'all are.
I am too. I'm the same way.
We'll say.
I haven't heard nothing about Nick Cannon.
What?
Yeah.
I ain't heard nothing about Nick Cannon.
He throw.
Research, brother. Research. Yeah, but like
we'll hit you up after the episode.
And so what I was saying was, with the whole Democrat and Republican, I said, black people, I said, if you go through our consistency, we call out every politician. Like, black people was the main one joking Bill Clinton.
Marion Barry.
Bill Clinton. Marion Barry. We joke Al Sharpton. We joke Jesse Jackson. I said, so when we talk about Trump, that ain't personal.
That ain't nothing
like,
new.
Y'all take it personal. That ain't personal when we talk about Trump.
That's right. Hey, but I forgive me that I don't have his name, but rest in peace. A young brother
John
activist
Lewis.
From way back. Who?
Oh, John Lewis. Yeah, John Lewis. Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace. See, you know what? Even though he was anti-Trump and a lot of things that I may not have agreed with, but he did a lot of great things that anybody would be proud of. And big ups. And there's whoever's coming up got some big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill.
So who's coming up?
What's her name? Oh, girl that you talked about.
ACO. ACO, baby.
Hey, it could be.
She ain't no slouch, though. She ain't no punk.
No,
she ain't.
She ain't no punk.
No, she ain't no punk at all.
All right. So you know what? I think we covered a lot with coronavirus, man. I didn't even get to touch on some of the testing, like antibodies. You know, you mentioned how there's different types of testing. I saw on the CDC website that they were declaring antibody testing as inaccurate, that it shouldn't be deemed inaccurate. I don't know how they can do why that's what I don't understand. Why are some methods without a definite test? We don't have a definite testing method. We don't have a definite cure. Why are things like antibody testing, hydroxychloroquine, why are these things being ruled out and not explored? Or maybe they are, we just are not privy to that information yet. But to see that the CDC, because I saw someone actually perform an antibody test, and they described what actually they were looking for. And they got a test that they deemed accurate. It was a healthcare physician. This is that Dr.Barke from Orange County, California. I just was surprised to see that the CDC deemed it inaccurate. Anybody have any information on Reggie? Does your healthcare professional say anything as to why antibody testing would be inaccurate?
Yeah, because of what, once again, the human body being the control. Because of the whole because of the whole different responses towards that. And it's crazy because even like, the way I compare it is anybody that's had anybody in the mental health, been through mental health and stuff like that, have you ever noticed how many pills a person that with mental health trouble gets suggested until they find the right pill? And they'll tell you that.
Okay.
So I think what they're trying to do is, in this same situation here, this exact same situation, I don't think they're ruling out, and that's what I've heard from the people I've talked to. They're not ruling these things out, but they don't want to put this out there as a cure-all. Because if somebody dies from it and it says, oh, da-da-da-da-da, then guess what? They're held accountable. Because this supposed to be cured my person, or there's not enough valid testing. Because remember what I said, gave the example earlier about if you have 6 cases, 4 of them were healed from hydrochloric clean, and then the other 2 were not. Okay, the main focus is going to be on the 2 that were not. And so that's kind of where I think they're at, because that's why they having to go and keep trying stuff over and over again. Because even in one neighborhood, like say for instance, one set of people in New York at this hospital, 50% of them died from that treatment. But then another hospital, 80% of them lived. So how do you
compare the numbers?
Anybody cannot tell if you are actively infected because it takes 2 to 3 weeks after you get the disease. So is that the same thing for?
Can you repeat that?
The antibody test cannot tell if you are actively infected because it takes 2 to 3 weeks after you get the disease for your body to build up enough antibodies in your bloodstream.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Another key point
to me.
That's another key point.
Okay, one thing that I want to mention. I'd hate that I'm jumping around here. Like, does anybody have stats that they want to share that the people need to know that they may not know, and sources?
And I will say this about the stats, and that's what I was gonna, conclude when I talked to the healthcare professionals. When you're talking about, like, there's so much, I won't say confusion, but there's so much data out there because of all the different variables. A lot of the times, that's why you get all these different numbers.
Yes.
And because of the inconsistent testing, the antibodies, that type of stuff too.
Yeah. So as a precursor, if we have with our statistics, we need to let everybody know there's a lot of different data that may read different. We could have the same subject, but the data that someone else got could be different. And they even state that, because my sources were the World Health Organization and the CDC, and they state that specifically in an asterisk with their data, how it is, it may be inconsistent with other data that may be found.
Now, I'm gonna give y'all a little secret too. Now, this is something that President Obama did, and it's one of the things that I feel like Trump shouldn't have done. Remember how everything trading with Cuba and everything was back right with Obama? Okay,
how we opened the relations with Cuba?
Yep.
Okay.
Did you know that Cuba, the world top medical facilities for lung cancer and lung recovery and study of the lungs? Like, Cuba holds, like, when everything went down in Italy, Cuba doctors came to Italy.
I did not know that.
Yeah, research. Like, Cuba sent their doctors to Italy to help them with the research and the studies and stuff.
And see, that's
Cuba
crazy.
would be a secret ally in helping us get this stuff
They're right
together.
there.
Yep.
Why wouldn't we use them? And that's a whole nother topic in itself.
Politics.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Cuba has helped Italy turn things around. Cuba doctors came and helped Italy, because they got down to the cellular part of understanding COVID. The cellular part of understanding the lung.
That's with any issue. You got to go to the root. And
so that's enough. And I tell everybody, I said, go research that rabbit trail right there. and you'll see. Connect that. I want everybody to connect them dots for me there.
Okay. Now, a big thing, Arkansas just mandated masks statewide. A lot of states did. One of the other things, I don't know, I'm sure other states are following suit, but I was skeptical in the beginning, but they actually have transport facilities in Little Rock where if you are not able to quarantine safely away from your family, you can be transported to quarantine in Little Rock. Is that not good? That's awesome, right?
Awesome.
That's the things that they need to put into order for everything. Like
it should be mandatory.
Everything, right? Everything. Like for listen, because we didn't even talk about the schools yet.
No.
We didn't even get to that part.
I think we should touch on it briefly.
Well, my thing in that situation is, my personal opinion, all right, because I was talking to somebody else at work about this. I was like, most parents, you know what I mean, are out there, you know what I'm saying, putting in 40 plus hours in a week, you know what I'm saying, and the outside, so they can't afford to be at home to give their child that curriculum, things of that nature. And these kids need to be in school. So they need to have a controlled environment. They need to have stations set up for these kids. Kids are hard-headed as hell. You know what I mean?
But the training starts at home, though.
Well, adults are being just as inconsiderate.
That's what I'm saying.
You know me. But the thing about the schools is all these kids are in one area, so you can have people at certain stations in certain places, make sure these kids are having a mask on, wash stations, you know what I mean? So I would give them gloves, hell, you know what I mean? Just different things.
Damon, do you believe schools should reopen or not until these measures are set?
We have to have critical guidelines, you know, before I can even trust it. At the end of the day, kids need education, and online school is not gonna work for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Having you know, what they have in Arkansas, and not in Arkansas, but in Berryville, they already have snow day setting place. So at the beginning of the year, they give these packets. So hey, if we got a snow day or school's canceled for any reason, here's what you can do. If you have a computer and Wi-Fi access, internet access, you can do it online, or you can do it on these papers. And so we were kind of already used to a system like that, and that's what they used to finish out the school year.
Yeah,
I think it works great. Teachers were online. They would have certain times that they set for their students, and they would get to interact. It's not touching, but this is the thing. People, and what bothers me more is a lot of parents are just saying reopening schools because they tired of their kids being at home, which is stupid.
That's
like, okay, so you care more about your own peace of mind than your child's life, but I digress.
Right. And the thing about it is they're gonna bring that sickness home to you if you sick already.
Listen, most of these teachers are older. They're not all 60 and over, and really, that's really their immune system is really shot. But if you have one teacher who's infected with the coronavirus, who has been in school with these children, with a lot of different children in 5 different classes, then if that teacher has coronavirus, you then have to go to each student and then quarantine each student, and then you got to find out who that kid's been in contact with, quarantine. It ain't gonna work. We ain't ready to reopen schools. Thank God for the technology right now that we don't have to risk our children like that.
I agree with you on that, and I'm like with Damon, right? The only way I feel like we should have schools, and I think it should be optional, and that's just my opinion with this part of the school, is that it should be mandatory, and I would say optional mandatory. It's like, okay, first of all, if you got access to learn at home, stay your tail at home.
At home.
If you don't have access to learn at home, there should be a certain time during the day, maybe 2 or 3, maybe a 3 or 4 hour period.
Okay.
Where that person can come to the school, interact with the teacher, get the in-school education they need, but the parent got to get them back home some way or another. You know what I'm saying? Not the whole 8-hour day. And then the other thing about it too is they need to be organized to a point where that person can actually maybe go and have access to maybe 1 or 2 people. You know what I'm saying? They don't need to be, it don't need to be treated like a regular school where, like what you said, Cal, about if they're around 300 or 400 people, who knows where they got it from?
Mm-hmm.
It's tough, man. It's a tough. I mean, like I said, man, for me to really trust the system, it has to be like Fort Knox in that motherfucker.
So, Damon, are you looking at other options?
All my kids they've got Chromebooks and we have Wi-Fi. That's the only option. That's the only option. And that and give them and try to give them knowledge from your own perspective. Try to teach them learn certain things. Like I said, man, if you work 40+ hours a week and you're an essential worker, you know what I mean? It's so
what
difficult.
You gonna do?
And I tell people that all the time. I say, and I think I posted this meme years ago. The expectations that people have for working. I was talking about working women at the time because it was like Women's Day, and I put it out there. It's like, people expect people to work. They expect women, and now we're expecting men to do the same thing. But they expect a woman to parent like if she doesn't work, and they expect them to work as if she doesn't parent.
Right. I agree. That's
the same way now. It's becoming the same way with men because the requirements of the work that and like I said, the company I work for, shout out to them. I'm going to give Jack Henry a shout out. Like, we're keeping the quarantine thing to non-essential travel and stuff like that to January. And they're forcing us to, like, take all our PTO stuff. Like, like we used to be able to carry over our PTO for the next year. They making us use it. They got it. They putting it in law where, like, this upcoming year, we can only take over 20 hours. And then 2021, might not even have none.
Right. Wow.
So it's kind of, they can't carry it over. They like, hey, you got to use this.
Just use it.
Yeah. And so, that whole, like, balance of home and life, I think more companies, more organizations need to understand it. And then up is what about, I said, well, hire more people. If you need more people, then that also stimulates the economy. If you hire more people, if you got people taking off and stuff like that, you can hire more part-time people to help with that.
Yeah, and not to negate people who are just needing to get back to work because, a lot of things, school, unfortunately, in this time, it's not that it's an afterthought, but parents are trying to feed and keep a roof over their children's head. So it's not just parents who don't want their kids at home. It's also like, okay, if you decide not to reopen schools, how am I going to work? My kids cannot stay at home by themselves. I would have to be here, but how am I going to provide for them? So that's a big question. And all we can do is hope that, like, this, people discussing like this, we need to get our voices heard to our elected officials. There's ways to do that. I'm gonna we're going to try to put together some information to give to the people on the link in the bio and in the description, so you can voice your opinion to your elected officials and have those questions heard. In Arkansas, the governor, when he does his briefings, they have actually a line where you can call in and your questions can be answered by the governor. So that's one thing that I think is good. Like, brothers, do we have, before we get to closing statements, do we have anything else that we need to cover?
Man, I got nothing. I think we got it from rooter to the tutor.
Although there's a lot, it's a broad subject. We covered a large array of things today. The only thing that I would have to say in my closing statements, because from the beginning we were warned that there would be a second wave of this virus, and I believe that we are on the verge of that second wave. As with the other issues, as I stated earlier, we're divided. In 2020 is like the year of, if anything comes to light, there's going to be a hard line drawn, and there's people you're going to be on one side or the other, but we cannot act as if this virus is not real. The return to work or school or some semblance of normalcy, we must do our part in the short term in hopes of giving way to long-term solutions, but we have to do our part.
Right.
Reggie?
Yeah. Mine is, I just want to salute all the parents out there. First of all, I know this has been very difficult on the parents, and I just want to send out a salute. And as a man that does not have the kids, I understand. I feel your pain. I'm sending love, and and strength and power to you. Because I know this has really, really been hard on y'all as parents. You know, so my thing about it is like, I always feel like there's a good, happy medium for everything. My mama always told me this. She said, baby, you can't have your way completely in this world. You got to learn how to meet people halfway. And that's one of the things I always talk about with the whole politics thing. You know, I tell people, I said, you know, most black people that I know are very conservative in a lot of ways. You know, like I said, like black people believe in carrying guns. Black people believe in, you know, the family unit. You know, like, you know, a lot of us, we always think about even the people outside of the family, you know, we always refer to things as we. And, you know, I always tell people, you know, even though that doesn't directly affect us, we still feel like we affect it because we always call each other fam.
That's right.
You know, that's this way black people are. And then another thing too, you know, I always share with people. And there's another subject to talk about. You know, single parent doesn't mean fatherless child. You know, black men are very active with their kids, you know, and stuff like that. So we do take a lot of stuff as far as that cohesive unit, very personal. So I'm saying all that to say this with the whole, you know, conservative versus liberal thing. And, you know, when you turn human rights and human safety into a conservative versus liberal thing, you really need to look in the mirror. And what I mean by that is, let's think about things objectively. You can still vote on either side or whatever side you choose, but learn how to be objective. Human rights and human safety are not political issues.
That's right.
They are not. And I'm like, and just please stop turning it into that. Because I tell people, I said, most of the time, I said, if you talk to a black person, you find out a lot of their views are conservative, but what they're liberal at is very much like with stuff that they can't do nothing about. If that doesn't affect me, black people don't worry about it. If that doesn't affect, you know, like, give an example. You know, most black people are against abortion, but at the same time, they're not gonna be like, you know, condemn and throw somebody in jail for committing abortion, because at the end of the day, it's like that's one person's choice. You know, at the end of the day, and do we agree with it? No, may not agree with it, but we're not gonna like say that this person is less than human because of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and say that their rights should be denied and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, because it doesn't get to that extreme. And you know, and the other part with the conservative thing, I tell people, I said, most black people on this end, we would not choose to be a conservative because we don't want to be on the same side that somebody that wants to kill us are on that side. I say, you know, and I said, for a lot of us as black people, whether we agree with politics or not, that's a strong line for us. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I'm circling this back down to the COVID and the mask thing. When you start thinking about whether to wear a mask and whether not to wear a mask, do not let your politics get involved in that. Do not start talking about rights and all of this and your amendment rights. Look at it as a common sense thing that Damon alluded to earlier. There are people out there dying. And then for you to say, well, you know what, their rights should be denied, but they should stay at home because they know they sick because I need to do this and I need to do that. What has happened to your morals? What is that person is an American just like you are. We supposed to protect each other as Americans. We supposed to love each other as Americans. That's what separated us. And my people of faith, that's what separates your faith. If you say you're a Christian or God-fearing country in America, that's what separates you from any other religion that you say, is that you watch out for everybody, not just for yourself. So that's my whole summarization with that.
Right on. And I will say, and that's for another episode, but, you know, maybe abortion should be choice between two people, but I digress on that. We'll discuss that at a later time.
Yeah, I'm gonna say,
or Damon, go ahead, Damon, hit that up, brother.
And for the biggest thing is use common sense. Stay smart, stay healthy, and stay maxed up. That's all I got for you.
Yeah.
Stay plain and simple.
I like that. I'm gonna use stay masked up.
Stay masked up. I agree, man. I agree. And like, if y'all need to, I know somebody who will make personalized masks. You know, I got me a little I got me a Pittsburgh Penguins mask. So I mean, if y'all need a plug, I got a plug.
I need that thing. I need that plug. Why?
Already.
Right.
I can see Harris
Cash.
multifaceted. I'm just saying.
I need
Damon.
that, man.
You feel it? That's why I was doing you like this. You know what I'm saying? But look, I was.
DesSwoir closing statements on coronavirus, brother.
Everybody just needs to mask up and keep the social distancing at a maximum. We really should be staying away from everyone. But I know people have to work. I take it for granted because I am an essential worker and I still have my job. My hours haven't been cut. They've been increased.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I take it for granted that people do need to work, but this virus is going to be critical for all of us. We hope that it doesn't mutate and become worse than what it is now. We don't know nothing about this virus. Still questions that nobody knows. So we're acting like we know already what it's going to do, what each cells do. We don't know nothing about this. That's why it's a pandemic.
Sleeping. On the lighter note, ain't it funny, y'all? I don't know. I was talking to my wife.
I can shout out that he finished that one right there, boy. I can shout out to
that one. Right? Get up, even do a little dance. That's right. All of y'all spot on with coronavirus. And then I think this might be the first episode that for the majority of the time we was all on the same page. We all had the same perspective.
But I also love how we also threw in people with different perspectives from
We did. That's right. Because we got to cover them too. Because they're our audience too. And so on a lighter note, like I talked to my wife and like it's crazy. Like I went to this job interview, you know, and you go in to shake people's hands, you can't do it, you feel weird about it. It's like
elbows, man.
That's so weird. But like, do y'all like? I get this feeling, man. Like when even I know my wife ain't got nothing, but you know she may have some allergy issues, got a scratchy throat, and just you know. And don't you I just feel nasty around like anything like that. And I'm like y'all got leprosy.
Hey, man, I don't trust nobody, man.
That's what I'm saying. I'll be like I see people that I ain't seen in a while, and they come up to him, but like, I hope they don't try to shake my hand.
I don't shake. Listen, man. You get knuckles and elbows, man.
If you get too close, you might catch a fist. I'm just playing.
I go to my office every day, throughout the week. Monday through go my office with a can of Lysol, some wipes. I wipe my office down and spray out Lysol every day, bro. You know what I mean?
If I do give somebody a hug, it's gonna be like this.
I'll give you a virtual hug.
Right? Can I send you? I'll send you an emoji later.
I'll think about it.
All right. Hey, My Brother's Keeper, episode 3, coronavirus. It's a wrap. Love y'all. Appreciate these brothers, man. I wouldn't want to do it with nobody else.
Yeah,
man. Every episode I get smarter, bro. I appreciate y'all.
Enlightened for real. All right, and we out.
We out.